Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome everyone to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily call. All glories to Safala Ekadasi today. So Guru Maharaj is going to speak on the topic of the holy name, as it is an Ekadasi today. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances of to Srila Prabhupada. Please take over the call, Maharaj. And is there any verse to share, Guru Maharaj, from Vedabase?
Yeah. Let's see. What I wanted to do. Yeah, go to the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 51.
12:351, Guru Maharaj.
And I'll do 2 verses.
Okay. Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. This verse is quite common, known by devotees and quoted often in the chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kale Doshani Raja Nasti Eto Mahaviraharam Kirtana Reva Krishna Mukta Sangam Param Vijay. Translation. My dear King, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of forms, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Purport. After mentioning the innumerable faults of this age of Kali, Sukadeva Goswami now mentions its one brilliant aspect. Just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, one brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of this age. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, especially in this fallen age. Next verse, which is the last verse in the chapter. Kriteya Gayato Vishnu, Kritayam Yajito Makai, Dvarpade Paricharya Yam Kaloda Dari Kirtana. Whatever result was obtained in such a yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by sacrifices, and Dvarpa Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be attained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. A similar verse is found in the Vishnu Puran 6.2-17 and also in the Padmaran Uttarakhanda 72.25, along with the Brihanarada Purana 38.97. Yayan Krite Yajagyas Tretayam Dwaparer Chayan Yarapnoti Tarapnoti Hello Sankritya Kesavam. Whatever is achieved by meditation in such a yuga, the performance of sacrifice in Treta Yuga, and the worship of the Lord's lotus feet in Dwarpa Yuga is attained in the age of Kali simply by glorifying the name of Lord Keshava. Srila Jiva Goswami has quoted from the Brahma-Vaivarta Purana concerning the degraded condition of the people in Kali Yuga. Akakolo tapo yoga vidya yagna vika kriyaham sango bhavanti natkuta kusalaya pidehi vihi Thus, in the age of Kali, the practices of austerity, yoga, meditation, deity worship, sacrifice, and so on, along with their various subsidiary functions, are not properly carried out, even by the most expert embodied souls. Srila Jiva Goswami also cited the Chaturmasya Mahatmya of the Skanda Purana concerning the necessity of chanting Hare Krishna in this age. Tata chaivo tamam loke tapasri hari kirtanam kalo yuge visheshane na Vishnu prityai samacharit. In this age, the most perfect penance to be executed in this world is the chanting of the name of Lord Shri Krishna. Especially in the age of Kali, one can satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu by performing Sankirtan. In conclusion, massive propaganda should be made all over the world to induce people to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by which human society can be rescued from the dangerous ocean of Kali. And this is the final verse in the chapter called Bhumi Gita, in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter. Omagyantamirandasya Ganajana Sarakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Spencer Matidove Gauravani Pacharine Navasesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya Devasaya Panchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama. So for the last 35 to 40 verses, Sukadev Goswami has been narrating to Maharaj Parikshit the deficiencies and the characteristics and qualities in the age of Kali, which are quite a long list of anomalies. Now, after piling on in a very regular way all of these anomalies, now he's saying, but there is one bright light, not only bright, but it's brilliantly light, can push back and change the whole course of Kali Yuga. And that is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And when it's done congregationally, large numbers of persons involved, the whole atmosphere becomes Vaikuntha. So we hear quite often the importance and the glories of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But still, we still don't get it. For whatever reason, we don't get it. We may theoretically understand it, but we don't understand the efficacy, supreme efficacy of the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And also the qualities and characteristics that are needed in order to perfect one's chanting, because this chanting has a direct connection with Krishna. The words of the Mahamantra are the words of Krishna and Radharani, or you might even say Krishna and his internal energy, it's his eternal pleasure energy, manifested in different forms. So the Mahamantra is exclusively distinct from all other forms of mantras mentioned in the Upanishads, or even in the Vedas, because in that it mentions that one can perform all of the other activities in this age of Kali, but unless one actually perfects practice of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one will still be performing rituals. It won't be actually devotional service, because ritualistic activities means one who goes through the motions of the activities that are designated as obligatory. So we are obligated, and we also promised our spiritual master we would chant regularly 16 rounds on beads every day without fail. And Prabhupada made that one of his main statements of preaching. He emphasized that this is my most important instructions to my disciples. But we have to also understand not only its importance, but its exclusiveness in the whole activity of the practice of devotional service. And therefore, just to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without understanding how to approach the mantra in the proper way, because approaching a mantra is like approaching Krishna. Just like, say, I invite you to come to lunch, and you're on your way, and I decide, well, I changed my mind, so I'm going to go out and do something different. So when you come, there's nobody home, and you're all disappointed. You're all prepared to come to a lunch and be with some people and enjoy some nice food, and now nobody's there and there's no lunch. So that's akin or similar to chanting without attention. Chanting means to call Krishna. Chanting means to ask Krishna to come and be present in our heart and upon our tongue. But if we're not attentive to his presence, just like if you're with somebody and you're talking to the person, and then all of a sudden you don't pay attention to what they're saying, you just start daydreaming about something else, then you can't really hear what they're saying, nor can you respond in the proper way. And the person will notice it after a while and start to either remind you or stop talking altogether. So calling Krishna means to be attentive to the presence of Krishna. And therefore, that is a proactive activity. Chanting is not something routine or mechanical. Mechanical chanting means just going through the motions and sounding the words. But sounding the words means hearing very carefully, with attention, the names of Krishna, with as much devotion as we can acquiesce at the time we're chanting. If we simply chant without hearing properly, or if we simply allow the mind to go to different places to figure out what we're going to do later on today, or what we did yesterday that we haven't completed, or some experience we had with a certain person that is on our mind, then we're not really chanting. We're simply putting some background sound into the mind's activity. And therefore, Krishna is not there. He comes when we actually want him, and we have to want him by becoming very attentive. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever, wherever the mind wanders due to its unsteady and flickering nature, one should bring it back under the control of the self. So that means, again, resuming the hearing process. So chant and hear. Hearing is an active exercise. It's not something passive. If you just nonchalantly try to hear, you have to try to hear. You have to make an effort to hear. You have to chant also in a way that your hearing is clear. And that way, as you go deeper into the sound vibration, the concentration manifests more and more, and it becomes a nice exchange between you and Krishna. But whenever the mind wanders, and it will wander, just bring it back, but don't allow it to wander. Therefore, the 11th fence of towards the chanting of the holy name is the chanting attentively. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur and some of the other acharyas also make statements in this regard that if you're chanting inattentively, you're very likely to commit any of the other 10 offenses to the holy name. He says by attentive chanting, you will ensure that you will not commit any of the other 10 offenses. So this attentive chanting has to be, what we say, one of the priorities in our cultivation of Krishna consciousness. And that chanting should understand that you are asking Krishna and his internal energy to come and be with you in this, because Krishna's name is Krishna. Kali Kale, Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. Krishna is incarnated in the sound of his name. He's non-different in his name. And especially in this age of Kali, the name is given priority over any other form of worship as being the means for self-realization, as we heard from these verses here, along with the purports, how central the chanting of the holy names is in regard to our development in Krishna consciousness. Well, you might say, well, that's nice. What about one of the other activities? Yes, we have to follow the instructions given by the Shastras in order to perform devotional service accordingly. And therefore, we have other requirements. We should attend to the temple functions whenever we can, or even regularly. We should only eat Krishna Prasadam. We should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And we should also associate with devotees and perform some services. All of that is supportive of our chanting. In other words, it makes our chanting more natural and more easy. So all of these other activities, as Srila Prabhupada says, if you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're not following the rest of the process given, he said it's analogous to cooking with smoke. He said if you cook with smoke, you could put your breakfast on the fire. It'll take you 300 years to get breakfast cooked. So these other activities are essential and should be done with attention and concentration. But everything, our maximum amount of advancement in spiritual life will come through the purification of the heart coming by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then when one starts chanting with attention, one will feel happy. One will feel ecstatic. One may even find themselves dancing while they're chanting. It happens. Devotees sometimes are chanting japa, and they start to dance because they're feeling that the happiness of the presence of Krishna in the form of his holy name. So one can never underestimate the importance of chanting, but we should also very carefully understand the principles given to us by the acharyas and by their disciples and how best to approach the holy name. And so there have been books written, there's statements made, and one should be very proactive. I use that word with some emphasis. In other words, you should actively bring your mind into the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. You have to move that mind into it. You can't just allow the mind just to float along and just allow it to go wherever it wants and then continue the chanting. That kind of chanting, you won't, after 16 rounds of chanting like that, you'll feel just the way you did when you started. There won't be any difference. So we have to be very attentive to the process and realizing that Krishna is there in his holy name, and he's very kind. He wants to have a relationship with us, but it's up to us. He's always ready to have that relationship. In fact, he's eager for that. But it's up to us to want him also. And therefore, if we understand that he's so merciful and he comes in the form of his holy name, and he makes his holy name so easily available, we should appreciate that and take advantage of his mercy by chanting with ultimate attention. So that means you have to continue to hear nicely. And of course, the mind will go wherever it wants to go, and then just bring it back. Don't allow the mind. The longer the mind travels to other places during the japa session, the harder it is to bring it back and keep it back. So don't allow it to go even for a second. And when it does, bring it back immediately. Like that. Don't try to, another thing that devotees try to do is that they try to solve their problems when they're chanting the holy name. And sometimes the solution to one of your problems will come up while you're chanting. But that is not the benefit of chanting. That may be a side benefit. And sometimes what we do is that if something important comes up in the mind while we're chanting, we don't want to forget it. We take a piece of paper and pencil and write it down, and then we leave it. And then we don't explore that thought anymore. But that shouldn't be done as a regular habit. It may happen occasionally. So, and one of the most important things is to find a place where you can chant without disturbances. You can chant in the temple with other devotees, or even in your own house with other family members and friends. That is ideal. Some of us find ourselves chanting by ourselves. That may be a little bit harder because we have to depend only on our own efforts, whereas when we chant with others, we also get some support by the sound vibration. But even if we have to chant alone, be very, very aware of to avoid disturbances coming from the outside in the form of one of the things that we should very much do is to take that cell phone and hit the off button. Don't put it on silent mode. Don't put it on anything, but just put it on the off and leave it alone. Because, you're chanting, if you leave your cell phone on, you hear these messages coming in and you think, who's calling me now? Maybe it's important. Maybe I should just take some time out. And then pretty soon your japa becomes splayed out. Very sporadic. So just turn it off. And you'll find that you really don't need it. Once you finish your rounds, you can go back and attend to that with full attention. So yeah, these are some things we should look for in our chanting. And take this chanting most seriously. It's not something we should just routine do and try to complete our required number of rounds. We should chant with the desire to please Krishna and to associate with Krishna through the holy name. And there is a beautiful verse that is quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's one of the 6 Shastika prayers. Ayinanda tanujit kinkaram patitam mam vishyame bhavam buddho kripaya tavapada pankaja stikaduli sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servant. Somehow or other I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So here's a prayer that, my dear Lord, I'm struggling in this material world. I need you. I'm feeling unhappy because I'm overwhelmed with the desires to try to enjoy this material world. Please pick me up. Give me relief from all of these false desires. Bring me back to your lotus feet in devotion. So these prayers are very supportive of the consciousness we need in order to chant properly in our devotional life. We should practice that very carefully. Okay, so we're going to have to stop here, and we'll go and see if there's any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for reminding us again about the glories of holy name and the importance of chanting attentively and without any offenses, and how to control your mind. Many things are covered. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments or clarifications or any realizations to share, please go ahead and ask Maharaj. And also, please turn on your cameras if possible. Thank you so much. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances or glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Maharaj, for today's class. I really was meditating on how you emphasized attentive chanting. So I have a question. When I begin chanting, I'm meditating on the lotus feet of my spiritual master, my Shiksha Gurudevs, then Srila Prabhupada, and the Guru Parampara, like that. So I find that several rounds, I'm just meditating on the Guru Parampara, and it takes me like 8 or 10 rounds by the time I work my way up and start meditating on Panchatattva and the Lord himself. So I'm wondering whether is that inattentive chanting and I should, offer mentally my obeisances and focus on the form of the Lord and address Krishna, or that's just natural and I should not worry about it?
Are you hearing nicely?
Yeah.
You're hearing, you're absorbed in hearing the holy name while you're meditating on the lotus feet of different personalities.
Yes.
Well, then that's the point. Is you have to hear the holy name nicely. That's the most important thing. Chant and hear, Prabhupada would say. If there's anything that's there to support your hearing, you can use that. But hearing is the most important thing. It's Shravanam, Kirtanam. Hearing and chanting, chanting and hearing. It continues, go in that cycle. And it builds, and pretty soon it becomes just you and Krishna. Chant clearly. Make sure pronounce the names clearly.
Yes.
And if we're thinking about something else, we may also divert our attention away from the holy name.
Guru Maharaj, it's not so much that, because I'm trying to remember, each personality. I'm, looking at the, when you go to the temple, the Guru Parampara photo frames are all there. So it's like I'm looking at all those pictures in my mind. Then I'm, going one by one, offering obeisances and praying to each personality like that for some, benediction. And that's why it takes me like 8 to 10 rounds by the time I reach the lotus feet of Panchatattva, then Lord Nrsimhadev, and then Radha Madhav, like that. So is that like taking very long to finally reach Krishna's, to remember Krishna, or is that all right?
Chanting the holy name is remembering Krishna. What do you think you're not remembering Krishna? Chanting the holy name is Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna says, I'm non-different in my name.
Thank you for the clarification, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Mataji. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, all glories to the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask, I don't actually fit in the ideal categories of, chanting, like we should get up early and finish our rounds. We should chant with the devotees and many such. But I finish my round in the entire. I finish my rounds in the entire day, but like half of the rounds in the morning and then another half set in afternoon. So is that okay, or should I try to idealize? Because of my schedule, I have a kid, and it becomes really hard to work with hours sometimes.
Well, if your schedule doesn't allow you to finish your rounds early, then you have to adjust accordingly. But always keep in mind that your chanting is the most important thing, and it shouldn't be put off until you have nothing else to do. You should make a schedule, and if your schedule requires some activities that cannot be, put aside, then include them. But always try to get your rounds completed as early as possible. And then the day becomes more focused. You're more equipped to deal with the challenges throughout the day. So I recommend, and I not only recommend, I emphasize that devotees chant their rounds early. Because I find that's a nice foundation for the whole day. And you can focus on the activities of the day with complete attention.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj. For now, sometimes the household work really stress a lot at the end of the day, and then waking up early. I still manage to wake up at 5 o'clock, but yeah, for now, right now it's difficult. But I'll take your advice. I'll try to manage it in the early hours.
Yeah. Don't rush through your rounds. That's another deficiency and another wrong mentality. Just because we want to get them done early, chant nicely, hear nicely, follow the process of hearing and attentively, and your rounds will go. Your speed will increase according to how much you're listening to the sound. You think that your speed is based on how fast you chant depends on how fast you get the rounds done. No, how fast the rounds are completed is based on how much you're absorbed in hearing. That is a fact. Try to hear nicely.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. For now, I think I have 7 minutes. I take 7 minutes for one round.
That's acceptable.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Maharaj, even I face this type of struggle because of my schedule. I also chant here and there all through the day. So, but yeah, my question is like when I'm chanting, or I remember that I have to chant so many rounds, and suddenly I start chanting, but my mind is not yet settled down from the previous work or like that, and it takes me some time to come into the mood of chanting actually, even though I started chanting. So at that time, what should I do, Maharaj? So first start with any prayers or then chanting, or how it will?
Yeah, when you see all these other thoughts, just let them go. Just let them go. Don't give them any attention. Just like somebody is walking past you. So for 1 minute, the time that they're walking past you, they're with you on the same place. But they keep walking and you keep walking, and then things go and you're done. So just let these thoughts come in, and then then just don't pay attention to them. That's all. Just keep focused on the sound.
Mm.
The mind will tell you this is important, or this is, and you want to get on to trying to think about it, but you'll find that you can think about them better when you're done than when you're trying to chant. And you can't spend time really dealing with these other things that you have to settle in your mind when you're trying to chant. This chant, let them go. They come, they go.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
And you can also call out to Krishna. But make sure you're hearing nicely.
Mm.
Some devotees chant so silently that they don't even hear. That you can chant softly, but you have to hear every sound, every syllable of the mantra. If you're chanting so softly and your mind is screaming at you about washing the dishes or cleaning the car, then you know that's going to be the sound vibration you're going to pick up. So when the mind is loud, you better be louder than the mind with your holy name.
Yes,
Push
Maharaj,
it
I
out.
tried that. Yeah, I remember that you gave this advice previously also. I remember that. I tried sometimes. It worked, Maharaj. Yeah, it works. Yeah, loud chanting. Thank you so much. Devotees, any comments or questions? This is very important topic. We all struggle with chanting. I hope you'll definitely have some questions. Yes, Mataji, Sridevi Mataji.
I was thinking to myself that in the beginning, I used to put on Srila Prabhupada's japa tape and I used to chant along with Srila Prabhupada's japa tape. But now I find that I'm just chanting on my own. So is that a good idea to chant on your own, Guru Maharaj?
Yeah. That discussion about the japa tape came up with many senior devotees. And it was recommended not to chant with Prabhupada's japa tape. You have a tendency not to listen to your own japa.
Mataji, yeah. Chanting louder than mind is like scolding your mind, Namrata Mataji is saying. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, putting it back in where it was supposed to be.
Yes. So Maharaj, I have a doubt, like you were saying in the class that inattentive chanting will lead to many other offenses. So can you little bit please elaborate on that, Guru Maharaj?
Well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives that statement. And he says, inattentive chanting reduces the tendency to commit the other 10 offenses. He said, generally, what he's saying is if you're chanting attentively, you won't commit the other 10 offenses. So that's the power of the holy name when it's chanted with absorption. It overshadows any of these other possibilities of committing offenses. It's an automatic thing that happens by the power of the holy name.
Okay. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
I think just keep practicing. Don't give up the practice and don't think you've achieved anything. Just keep trying to perfect it. It's like painting a picture. You may have you have to kind of put everything together. The easel, the brushes, the canvas, and then you very carefully, with great attention, watch every move you make and start to think how to increase the quality of the image that I'm trying to present. The same way with chanting. It's like trying to perfect a relationship with Krishna. And part of it is fighting the mind or not listening to the mind. The other part is calling out to Krishna with devotion.
Mm. Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I understand. Thank you so much. Sridevi Mataji, you have anything to share?
I thought I did, but Guru Maharaj squashed that. I don't think you have achieved anything, so I'll keep quiet.
Yeah. Okay, we're into squashing things. When the mind is loud, be louder than the mind. Yeah, and that will help you to reconnect with the sound vibration nicely. And you may continue, you may also lower the volume once you start connecting more, but you don't necessarily have to. Prabhupada emphasized the importance of hearing. Somehow you have to hear. If the mind's dictations are louder than the holy name, you're going to be diverted to there. So sometimes it becomes too difficult to stop the dancing of the mind from place to place. So you just have to chant loud, push it out. I had that experience one time when I was in Delhi, and I had to travel from I forget where it was. I was in Gurugram, which is in South Delhi. I had to go to Rohini Dam, which was about 55 kilometers away. And so they sent a driver from the temple to take me, along with another brahmachari. So it was 6:15 in the evening. So the program was at 9:30 that night. And Delhi traffic is hell, to put it mildly. So the driver I had was just, he wasn't meant to drive in Delhi. He was just so slow. And the way he was driving, I was thinking, well, I always wanted to know what day I was going to die. So I made a note of the date, thinking that this will be the inscription on my tombstone. It was February 21st, 2019. I can still remember the date. And so, and I'm trying to tell the driver, you can't drive like that, and people were whizzing by us and almost hitting us, just flying. So you got to drive a little bit faster. But he was oblivious to everything I said, like I wasn't even there. So I didn't know what to do. He wouldn't change. So I just started to chant loud, and I was chanting really loud. Because Prabhupada also Prabhupada gave an indication. He said, when I get into anxiety, I chant loud. When I get into anxiety, this works. This really throws your anxiety away. When I get into anxiety, I chant loud. So I was in anxiety, no doubt. And so I was just chanting loud, loud, loud. And so it took us from 6:15. We arrived at our destination at 10:30, which was 4 hours and 15 minutes to cover 55 kilometers. That's how slow he was driving. And so I think halfway through the journey, I just was chanting as loud as I could. And then I really got into the chanting of the holy name. It was so nice that I didn't even care about who was driving or where we were going. And it was just nice. And even when I got there, I was disappointed when we got there because the name was so nice. But it just came by way of circumstance. And so sometimes we see that there's no other recourse based on what's happening in the external environment or what's happening in our own mind is just chant loud. And chant clearly. I see two people, they're dressed up like it's like they're in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm sitting here with short sleeves and it's like really warm. Harjata, where are you? You're outside?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. No, Maharaj, it's really cold here. It's really cold here. We don't have the centrally heated system in India. So it's, I think, 5 degrees here right now. So yes, it's freezing. Kind of.
Inside your house?
Yes, it is. It's cold. We don't get a lot of sunlight here where I am. So if it's in the daytime, it's too cold. It's colder inside than the outside.
Oh my God. And you don't have
Yes.
no heating system?
No, we do have the heating system, but then it's not centrally heated. We do have the heaters and the portable heaters, everything, but it's not centrally heated. And the bricks that they use here for the construction, it makes it worse. The floor that they use, the marble and all, it also makes it worse. So that's the thing.
Okay.
Stuck here.
Just curious. Sri Devi
What's
looks also in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah, Mataji looks like that she is in America.
All right. You don't have to give an explanation.
Marat, I want to say something.
Yeah, please bring it back to the
Yeah.
subject.
Okay, so it's not in the same track, but it's kind of is. So a little tip. It's a little. I'm gonna throw in a bit of science also. So water in the body or water anywhere holds memory. So when it is subjected to sound vibration, there is a greater effect on the water. So we are 70% water. Now an experiment was done on the heavy metal music plus the music from the piano and the cellos and everything. So people who were listening to heavy metal really got into a lot of anxiety and health issues. And people who were actually subjected to this kind of music, nice music, the mantras and everything, they were better in a better mental state. So I know exactly what Prabhupada must have meant when he said that you have to hear, because we are 70% water and water holds memory. And if we throw in a lot of love and we hear nicely and subject our body and mind to this mantra vibration, I think it's going to solve a lot of problems, Maharaj. Any kind of problem, I think. And it's the name of the Supreme Lord. So yeah, it has an effect. So that's why attentive chanting maybe, or nice vibration if we create for ourselves, it's going to solve a lot of problems, Maharaj. And I've seen it also.
Yeah, they're experimenting with that for using it for health cures. I mean, we don't do that, but the secular society is using sound vibration for curing. And some of them are also exploring the holy name in the same way. But it does have that effect. But Prabhupada summed it up in one statement. He says, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the panacea for all ills in this age of Kali. Yeah, just chant Hare Krishna. If you can chant 24 hours a day, and you won't have to listen to my classes anymore. You won't have any problems. And anybody tries to give you a problem, you won't be able to even understand what's happening. Just keep it, yeah. Just chant 24 hours a day, and you're back home, back to Godhead.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Rajesh Prabhu, you want to go ahead?
Whoever made that statement that God gave rock and roll to us is really not. I was just listening to Prabhupada. We create all of this stuff. God doesn't give it to us. he allows you to have it because you want it, but he doesn't give it to us. He gives us a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. So that statement is completely bogus. God didn't give us rock and roll. We created it. We created a lot of our own problems. But Krishna allows you to have your independence. He says, don't do it. But if you persist, then it's available. I was just listening to Prabhupada today saying, things that happen in this world to us are given to us by God. He said, no, God is only giving you one thing. Come back to me. That's all. But you want so many other things. And therefore, he allows you to have it because he gives you your independence. So Krishna actually says, I am not the cause of anyone's happiness or distress. We choose based on our desires to be separate from Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Rajesh Prabhu, you want to go ahead?
Hare Krishna, my tender pranams, to Maharaj, and to Srimati Devidasi, Shri Devidasi, Mataji, Parishad Devidasi. Really nice comments, and it's amazing to see Dhanvatari Das Prabhu in the background in the bus. I remember when he came for your retreat, Maharaj, here. He was, Prabhuji was nicely explaining how he'd listened to class by driving the bus. It's really amazing to see him, get his darshan also. Maharaj, I really like the point. I know everyone's nicely reflected it, but I really like this point about chanting louder, than the mind sometimes when we're in an anxiety. Got a question. What happens sometimes if you have to do the opposite? And I know you said to chant, I think to chant as attentively as you can based on the circumstances. But if, say, your throat or your health doesn't allow you to sort of continuously chant too loud, and you find yourself getting softer and softer, and before you know it, the rascal mind can make an excuse to sort of start chanting silently or totally silently.
Drink some water.
So, Maharaj, when I tried that, I often start coughing, and that interrupts my chanting even more. So I try and sip and take a little bit, not too much.
I will take something if you find yourself getting too weak. I also experienced that too towards the later part of my rounds, feeling a little bit tired, and the volume is not able to be there as it was in the beginning. But I tried to do something to boost it back up again.
So keep going.
That's allowable.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay,
Thank
so
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
Maharaj, we are almost at the end of the hour. Would you like to chant around as it is Ekadasi, Maharaj?
Yeah. And I have a class coming up at the temple.
Oh, okay.
So we can do one round and then I'll have to dip out.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Let the curtains here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare 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 Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Gaura Bhakti Vrinda.
Maharaj,
Yeah, I have an appointment, so you can all continue to chant if you like, but I have to go to this appointment.
Maharaj, there is a comment on Facebook.
I'm not going to take it now. I don't have time.
She's just asking for blessings. Today is her birthday, it seems. Safala Ekadasi. She Ruchi Agarwal Mataji. Just right.
May you chant the holy name with attention.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much for the class, Maharaj, for your association and people chanting. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees and Ekadasi. Thank you.
Thank you, Srimati.
Mataji, you